Hey guys, it's Simmy, and this is Wrestling Unlimited. As we've got no links on this. There we go. For some reason they were there, then they weren't there, then they were there, then they weren't there again. Now they're there. We're here on a Friday, and we're talking tonight's Friday Night Smackdown. Now, if I'm gonna be honest, I was bored through some of this show. It was an easy show to watch. I will say that it flowed very well, but there was just like half of this show didn't interest me. Again, like I said, it was easy to watch, and it wasn't like a horrible, bad show, but there was some stuff, like everything to do with Tiffany and Stephanie and all that, with Julia and kind of James coming out and everything. That was just like, meh, we didn't need that. So, yeah. There was some good and then some not all that great on this SmackDown, I will say for sure. But with all of that, again, like I said, easy show to watch. You just need something to put on in the background. You need just something there. You like wrestling? Well, this was the show for you. This is one of those shows where you didn't have to fully pay attention. You knew everything that was going on. And yeah, basic show, I will say, which is not the greatest, because you never want to say, oh, they had a show you didn't have to pay attention to, because then that makes it sound like nothing on this show mattered, where in a sense it kind of didn't, if I'm going to be completely honest. Like, they announced 4 things for next week's show. I did miss one in the moment, but they're trying to build up whenever they do like the SmackDown the day before the International PLE. They try to build those up big, and they do have 4 big things for next week's show. They have the women's tag match, where it's going to be Tiffany and Stephanie teaming together against Julia and Kiana James. They've got a last man standing match with Priest and Black. They've got the Sami Zayn US Open Challenge, and then the tag titles will be online when the Wyatts defending against the Street Profits. But it's like, okay, Sami's not dropping the belt. I don't see the Street Profits beating the Wyatts. Tiffany and Stephanie, there's no way they lose. So you're beating your women's US champion, even though Kiana James probably take the pin. And then, I missed something. What was the 4th one? Last man standing. That one's an interesting one to me. Last man standing, because I don't know who would win that, whether that's Priest or Black. If I'm going to make a prediction now, let's say Priest. He's the bigger star of the two in the company. So I would say Priest gets the win there. But that's not that predictable. Like, I'm making a prediction, but I really feel like I could be wrong on that as well. As far as tonight's SmackDown does go, we'll get into that here in a moment. But first, I want to say thank you for joining me here. Twitch.tv/PW Unlimited, YouTube.com/Pro Wrestling Unlimited, and podcast services all around the globe like Stitcher, Spotify, Google Pod, Apple Pod, Anchor, iHeartRadio, and so much more. Remember, if you are watching live on Twitch, you can help us out a couple of different ways. You can either help us out by hitting that donate button down below, or by donating Twitch bits in the live chat. Also, remember, you can help us out by subscribing to the channel, one of 2 different ways. You can either subscribe with a tiered subscription, or you can subscribe with Amazon Prime. Because remember, if you have Amazon Prime, then you have Prime Gaming. Prime Gaming gives you a lot of cool things like free games, free stuff for games, and you always get 1 free subscription to any Twitch channel you want to subscribe to throughout the month. And I greatly appreciate it if you did right here, Wrestling Unlimited. Also, remember to help us out over on YouTube. You can help us out over there by hitting that subscribe button. That way you know when we go live, when we post new videos, and when we post to the community tab. Also, remember, you can help us out by hitting the join button and becoming a channel member. As a channel member, you get a badge next to your name, emotes, and emojis that you can use in the live chat, and access to our graphics packages and graphics tutorials. Also, remember, if you want to get your comment, question, or concern read live on the air, you can do so by donating a super chat in the live chat. And finally, head over to the Epic Game Store. Head over to the Epic Game Store and buy something. Whether you're buying a new game, whether you're buying an old game, whether you're claiming a free game or getting bucks for Rocket League, Fortnite, or Fall Guys, use this code right here, PW Unlimited, at checkout, and you will be supporting us at no extra cost. Maybe you're trying to get into some of them Fortnitemares stuff. We got the Demon Rush K-pop Demon Hunters in Fortnite right now. So if you want to get into any of that and you need the V-Bucks, well, use our code PW Unlimited. Well, that's on your PlayStation, your Xbox, your Switch, your phone, your tablet, your Amazon Fire Stick, wherever you can play Fortnite. Wherever you can play Fortnite. Also, remember, Battlefield 6 comes out on October 9th. I may want to pre-order. And if you do on the Epic Game Store, use this code. But with all of that, also, what's the free game right now? What are the free games on the Epic Game Store right now? They do have a sale going on also, Epic Savings Sale till the 9th. What's the free game right now? Free games are Firestone Online Idle RPG. Never heard of that one. And Nightingale Realms Rebuild. That's a cool one. I've never played it myself, but I've watched people stream it a couple times. And yeah, that's a really cool one. That's a fun one. Nice action game, I guess you would call it. I don't even know. I mean, it's no different than any of your other first-person action games. But it's a fun one. It looks fun, at least. With all of that, as far as Smackdown does go, we're live from Cincinnati, Ohio. And interestingly, Michael Cole's all running down. We're here for Smackdown tonight, but this is the big sports weekend in Cincinnati. And he's taking like the college football and NFL stuff and everything. And I'm like, oh, that's an interesting move. You don't hear him plug the other sports like that much. But we have Michael Cole and Booker T on commentary. Oh, Booker T. No bread, no water. Anyways. Always hurts my throat a little trying to do a Booker impression. But Cody Rhodes does kick off the show. The undisputed WWE champion makes his way out to the ring and just talks about, the matches they've got tonight. Him and Randy Orton versus Bronson Reed and Braun Breaker. Rhodes asked the crowd, what do you want to talk about? And before anything, Heyman would interrupt. He would be accompanied by Breaker and Reed and said, quote, what would we like to talk about? He then gets on the apron and says, sorry, maybe I should introduce myself. I am Paul. Or he says, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Paul Heyman. And right as they all were getting in the ring, the bronze, Randy appears to back up Cody. Heyman said that he and the bronze weren't here to talk to Rhodes, but rather Randy Orton. He said Orton wasn't taking his calls all week, which meant that he had the bronze corner Rhodes, which would bring out the Viper. According to Heyman, that wasn't a prediction, but a spoiler. Heyman pointed out that no matter the strategy Orton and Rhodes would come up with, it would not be enough. They would lose to Braun and Bronson. Heyman asked Orton, what would happen if he and Rhodes lost tonight? Attempting to, quote, stir the pot. He said, quote, that's the undisputed world champion. We could do so much more than that. Basically saying, hey, Randy, work with us and I'll bring you to the top. He said, either way, no matter how we'd look at it, the alliance between Orton and Rhodes, it's not going to last because that's not a prediction, but rather a prophecy. The Seth Rollins-less Vision then made their exit and the segment ended. Short segment as far as like WWE weekly TV opening segments go. It felt very short. Usually the segments go like 15 minutes. This felt like it was like 8 to 10, if that. This felt very short. So we got Carmelo Hayes. He's walking in the locker room. Miz comes up and accosts him, chews him out for not letting him get beat last week, I guess you would say. Hayes responded by saying that this partnership between them, it's over. Miz, you've done nothing here but try to ride my coattails. You've done nothing here but stand next to me and try to feed off of me, basically. Hayes said that he was being cool about this, but he can't anymore. He shoots first. He told the Miz, quote, we good? Before walking off. Basically saying, hey, yeah, you helped me a little. I learned maybe a little bit from you, but you were just sponging off of me and how good I am, and that ain't going to happen anymore. But we can still be friends. Kind of when he was like the we good thing. So then Sami Zayn comes out for the Sami Zayn US Open Challenge, and Carmelo Hayes' music hits. And I go, oh, not Carmelo again. We already saw this. And he comes out and says, Miz, last time I wasn't fully me. I had distractions and this, that, and whatnot, and so forth. He's like, but tonight's different. Tonight could be different. and I want to challenge you once more for that title. And well, before he can walk down to the ring, he was attacked by The Miz and given a skull-crushing finale. This left him laying, and WWE officials got Miz out of there. So it's not even like Miz took him out to try to get the title shot. It was like Miz just took him out to take him out. So then Aleister Black would appear out of nowhere and say, hey, I'm taking your open challenge. Black gets in the ring, and the match begins. Zayn dropped Black with a series of arm drags early on before they transitioned into a hammerlock following the last one. Black escaped and kicked Zayn in the face to take over with a series of strikes in the corner. Black maintained control with a boot to the face of Zayn, which left him trapped against the ropes momentarily. Black then took us into the commercial break with a springboard moonsault on Zayn, as the challenger still had the upper hand. Excuse me. Once we returned from the break, Zayn was fighting back and battering Black with punches and bunches in the corner following repeated stomps. Zayn then leapfrogged over Black before he clotheslined him out of the ring. Black would recover, and he and Zayn got into a standing switch standoff until the challenger blasted him with a kick to the head and a German suplex for, well, not a 1, not a 2, 2.5, almost a 3. Sami Zayn does kick out. Zayn avoided a spinning kick and attempted a blue thunder bomb, but got countered into a discus knee by Black instead. The challenger instead headed up top, but Zayn intercepted him and hit a superplex as both men were now down in the middle of the ring. As the match continues, Zayn headed to the top again after a break and took a leap, but he was knocked out with a kick by Black upon landing. That, however, had both men down off their feet, and then as they both got up, they started striking each other, with Zayn attempting a haluva kick, but Black dodged it and responded with a top rope Meteora. This got him a 2. Zayn managed to kick out, and Zayn was at Black's mercy. Damian Priest would then appear at ringside, creating just enough of a distraction to help Sami Zayn. Zayn would hit Black with a haluva kick, followed by a blue thunder bomb, 1, 2, 3, picking up the victory. I'm a big fan of Sami winning with the blue thunder bomb. Now, it's not saying I don't like the haluva kick, but it's like the haluva kick is a perfect setup for the blue thunder bomb. You run in, you kick them in the face, you stun them, they come staggering out of the corner, you grab them, spin them, boom, blue thunder bomb. So I think, as much as I do like the haluva kick and Sami does it great, I think it's a better setup for the blue thunder bomb than an actual finish. But that's just my opinion. After Zayn left the ring, Priest cleared the commentary table and hoisted the fallen Black above him. He then threw Black through the commentary table with a razor's edge. This is all basically setting up Last Man Standing for next week. So, fun match. I don't know how to say this. We've seen better in the Sami Zayn US Open Challenge, but that's not to say that this wasn't a good match. I thought this was a really, really good match. And yeah, I'm just thinking, the Ray Phoenix match was better. The Javon Evans match was better. It was probably right on line with the Carmelo Hayes one, if I do say so. I want to say thank you to Jack Dawson for the super chat. He says, keep up the good work, Tim and Crown Jewel. Who do you have winning the Women's Crown Jewel title, Tiffy or Vakir, and still getting AJ Lee and Becky? Well, saying, are we still getting AJ Lee and Becky? That's like saying, hey, was that reported or even teased by WWE? It hasn't been. So to ask if we're still, we've never known if we were. Basically, what we did was fantasy book and predict that eventually AJ should challenge Becky for the title because she pinned her at WrestlePalooza or tapped her out. So to ask, are we still? Well, you can't still if it was never a thing. It could be a thing. We just don't know yet. Because again, like I said, we haven't seen AJ since WrestlePalooza, so they haven't teased anything, and there actually haven't been any rumors or reports that match is supposed to take place at Crown Jewel. We kind of just fantasy booked, hey, the next big challenger for Becky should be AJ coming off of the win at WrestlePalooza. As far as who I have winning, Tiffany or Stephanie, probably Stephanie. They're really big on Stephanie right now, and that's not to say that they're down on Tiffany. But Tiffany's been that champion for over 200 days, 250 maybe. And so it's like, yeah, she's gotten her push. She's gotten her rub. She's gotten her flowers. Now it's time for them to push Stephanie and show us what they really think of her. So I think it's Stephanie's turn, I guess you would say, to get the big push. Esports Gaming Rules resubscribed on Twitch with a tier 1 subscription for 39 months. He's got a 7-month streak. Really appreciate that, my guy. He says, I just went to Smackdown at Heritage Bank Center. Oh, very cool. He said, I got the John Cena WrestleMania 41 17-time champion T-shirt, which is part of John Cena's retirement tour. That means I got the Jey Uso and John Cena Superstar WrestleMania 41 T-shirt with the official WrestleMania 41 Vegas logo. I didn't know they were still selling it. Well, that's really cool. I didn't know that shirt was still being sold. Speaking of John Cena WrestleMania 41, they're adding the heel John Cena from WrestleMania 41 to WWE 2K25. I don't know if it's just hey, we're adding him in, or if it's hey, this is part of my faction, you got to unlock it. Which it's like they do all this goddamn stuff where new wrestler here, new wrestler there, new wrestler here, new wrestler there. That's not part of the regular DLC in my faction. And then you got to just hope to get them. You got to hope to pull their pack, which is like, that's kind of shitty. And maybe I'm a little wrong on how that works because I don't do it that often. But I feel like we maybe, I don't know. Maybe we should do more my faction stuff because my faction, I do got to give it up to them. My faction is a good mode to keep people coming in. Whether that is to keep people coming in to unlock new things or just, hey, we got new challenges this week. Can you beat them? And so cool streaming stuff. Hey, go in and do a 2-hour stream of this week's My Faction challenges. Maybe you're really good at the game and you get them done faster. Maybe you're not as good and you get them done in less and more time. But yeah, I didn't know they were still selling that shirt at live events, but cool. What did you think of SmackDown being there live? Like, how was the crowd? The crowd felt fine. They were good for the main event and they liked Javon Evans. But it was like, for a lot of the show, they felt just okay. Not like a super crowd or anything. And maybe they came off better live in the building. But let me know. Let me know, Esports Gaming Rules. How did it feel, the crowd, as far as their reactions and their cheering and whatnot and the pops and stuff live? Because it just felt, other than the main event and like Javon Evans and a couple of his deals, little stuff, okay. Just a so-so crowd for the most part. I mean, we did get the Cody Rhodes. I'm like, you're not a fucking UK crowd. Stop. I'm getting tired of all these American crowds now doing the UK style chants. So, Esports Gaming Rule says, who do you got in TNA or NXT versus TNA showdown? Team NXT versus Team TNA. Men NXT, women TNA, and here's why. WWE don't want to lose to straight up TNA people. So what's happening here is the TNA team are going to beat the men because the men are all NXT, or the NXT men's team are going to beat the TNA team because the NXT team are all NXT wrestlers and the TNA team are all TNA wrestlers. But look at that women's team. First off, the captain is an NXT wrestler, and everybody else on Team TNA are former WWE and NXT wrestlers. To the point where freaking Kalani said, and the final person I'm mad that I've shared a locker room with and know very well, or she said, Jakar Marasade. I'm like, oh yeah, you fucked that up. So that's what I think happens. I think they split it. I think the men win, the women lose as far as the NXT teams do go. So NXT men, TNA women, Hardys win the tag titles. I think that's the route they go. It's called WWE ego. They got to beat people that they say they put on the map. Or they won't get, how do I say it? They'll only be beat by people that they say they made. So it's like Mara Sade. She was nothing before WWE. The Iconics. They weren't much before WWE. And then you have Kalani Jordan, who's in NXT, even though she's TNA champion. So yeah, that's my prediction for next week. Oh, and Ethan Page beats Mustafa Ali in a fucking probably amazing match. That match is gonna hump. I can't wait to see Ethan Page and Mustafa Ali. And I love the backstory here. Where Mustafa Ali's like, hey, 2 years ago, basically, I was supposed to get an NXT North American title shot. And then instead of getting my title shot that I was advertised for and everything, they said, oh, yeah, you're fired instead. And I was at that show. I went to that No Mercy show that was supposed to feature Dom and Mustafa Ali. Instead, we got Dom and Trick with Dragon Lee as the referee, and Trick won the belt only to drop it, a week or two later? So, yeah, very weird. Very weird there. But yeah, I was at that NXT. That saw the Becky, if I remember correctly, Becky Tiffany street fight for the NXT Women's title. This is a pretty good main event. Thank you, Corey, for the super chat. Really do appreciate that. So, yeah, I think let's say it one more time. NXT men win, TNA women win, Hardys win the tag titles, and Ethan Page retains the North America title. Chelsea Slush Girl, thank you for the follow on Twitch. Really do appreciate that. Moving forward here with SmackDown, Nick Aldis was seen talking with Azaria and Sol Ruka, who was then interrupted by Chelsea Green and Alba Fire, who are still looking for a new person to recruit into the Secret Service, because we know that, unfortunately, Piper Niven is currently out with a neck injury that some think could be career-ending, unfortunately. But I still don't know for sure if it is, so hopefully it's not. Hopefully it's not. But basically, this just set up Secret Service taking on, or not Secret Service, but Chelsea and Alba taking on the team of Sol and Azaria. Azaria and Alba Fire started things off here. Also, if you saw NXT this week, when they were, picking the teams in the women's locker room, Azaria looked at Sol and goes, hey, can we talk? And Sol's like, yeah, sure. And they walked off when we got nothing else for that. Then tonight, they're just all cool and good. So what did she need to talk about? What did Zarya need to pull Sol Ruka out of the locker room and have a private conversation with her for? Are we going to learn about what that is next week on NXT? Or is it just they did it and then there's no follow-up? Because that was weird. Because she's like, hey, she looks at Sol and says, hey, can we talk? Sol's like, yeah, sure. And then they walk off. So I don't know. Very, very odd. Oh, Esports Gaming Rule says I left before Cody, Randy versus Bronze. And I don't know what happened at the end because we think Randy is turning. I don't know about a Randy turn. I mean, maybe. They want you to think that Randy can turn. Maybe even screw Cody, Crown Jewel or something. But I don't know. But why? Here's my question. Why did you leave early? What prompted you to leave early? Was it trying to beat traffic? Did you have to be somewhere at a certain time? I've always wondered why people would, and I hope this doesn't sound rude, and I'm not trying to tell people how their money should be spent or used. You spend your hard-earned money to go to a show, but you leave early. You don't get the full experience of everything they're putting on. He said, yes, beat traffic. I mean, I get that. That's like, I've actually, I've done both. I've literally, so I was at a house show one time. It's probably the last house show I've been to. And no, it wasn't that one. It was the one before. Because the last one I stayed because Cody did some stuff afterwards. And yeah, anyways, it was like 2 shows ago. It was Cody versus, I can't remember who he was facing. It was Cody and somebody in the main event. And I was with the kids and everything. And basically, I could tell how this match was going. Like, this match was a very cookie cutter pattern Cody Rhodes match. Cody's going to win. Someone's going to go through a table. And they set up the table in the corner. I'm like, oh, this match got like 5 minutes left. Let's go. And my son's like, what do you mean, let's go? I'm like, we're going to beat the traffic. We're not going to sit out there for another 45 minutes and waiting for everybody to leave. Because I'm like, I bet you dollars to donuts. Cody's going to put him through the table, hit him with the crossroads, pin him 1, 2, 3, cut a promo to say, thank you for coming. We love being here. And then the show's over. And what happened? Because I had a friend that stayed. Can't remember who Cody was facing, though. But he's like, yeah, showing you what Cody putting through their table, hitting the crossroads, cutting a promo, and the show's over. I'm like, yeah. If you've been to one live event and seen a Cody main event, you've seen them all, basically. You've seen them all. Eaters Gaming Rule says, did you see the Hulk Hogan trail in Tampa Bay area in Florida? Yeah, there's like a walking trail or something like that. They're renaming after Hulk Hogan. I saw that. We can look more of that up. I only saw the headline, so I didn't read into it. But we can look into that here. Where would that be? Here we go. It is on Friday. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis and members of the Hogan family made an appearance at the Hogan's Hangout restaurant in Clearwater to announce that part of the Pinellas Trail is being renamed the Hulk Hogan Trail. Hogan's wife Sky, his son Nick, Nick's wife Tana, and Jimmy Hart were among those in attendance. So very cool. Very, very cool. But moving forward here with SmackDown, Chelsea Green and Alba Fire versus Zarya and Sol Ruca. Like I said earlier, Zarya and Fire started off the match. Zarya did have the advantage here for a little bit until Fire escaped. Zarya then took her to the opposite corner and held her up with an elevated shooter or sleeper. The Australian then followed this up with a top rope clothesline. Green then tagged herself in. Ruca entered the match, and they fought for a moment. There was a modified tarantula hold, and followed by an X Factor for a near fall. The heels then got a little bit of the advantage here for a while before they took out Ruca with a double team dropkick that sent the Women's North American and Speed champion to the outside. Zarya was then taken out of the equation with a dive from Fire. Ruca then isolated Green and Fire. With Ruca isolated by Green and Fire, they maintained control. Zarya eventually recovered and threw Fire into the barricade. Back in the ring, Green then fell victim to Ruca's incredible Soul Snatcher, and there we go. So, like, the Soul Snatcher is a cool, impressive move based off of how you got to do it. That freaking inverted 450 kind of deal into a cutter. But the one thing that I hate the most of the Soul Snatcher is how much of a idiot it makes the opponent taking it look. So you set up the move where Chelsea's just standing there like this and waiting, and then Soul finally hits it, and then she's got to go down and take the bump. But the opponent has to just stand there and wait and wait and wait so long. So it's like, yeah, it's a cool move, but it doesn't look like a real move you could hit in a real fight or anything because the setup is preposterous. It's like when Alberto used to do the double knees from the top rope, or the double foot stomp, I think it was, double foot stomp. And his opponent would have to sit there, hold themselves up, and just hang and hold themselves until he finally gets up there and does it. So, yeah. But Corey with the super chat. He says, do you think Jade Cargill and Nia Jax should collide, head in a winner stake wall at Crown Jewel? So apologize for what I said if you felt offended. I wasn't offended. It was more of, we're not going to body shame in my live chat. That's what it was, Corey. You made a awful joke about Nia's weight, basically. And we're not going to body shame in the live chat. This is a friendly area, great vibes, and we don't want, and that's all I'm going to say on it, we don't want people making fun of people's appearance and weight and looks. Also, I don't understand your question here. Winner stake all? You trying to say, should Jade and Nia do a number one contenders match or something? No. I don't think we need Jade and Nia in a singles match at all on Crown Jewel. I don't think we're going to get anything with Jade and Nia before Crown Jewel. Jade's not even cleared right now. Jade's got some big ass stitches on her forehead, and usually takes about 2-3 weeks for regular stitches to heal and then get removed and then get cleared. But with as big as that gash was, you could see her goddamn brain. I think she's going to be on the shelf, not for a very long time, but there's no way Jade, I don't think. And from what I've heard, she didn't get a concussion, so that's good. But I don't think there's any way Jade's cleared before Crown Jewel. Not with how bad that gash was. And, you know, the stitches now need to heal. So we go backstage. Kathy Kelly's asking Charlotte and Alexa, hey, Oruka, Zarya, got a big win tonight. They impressed you enough to get a title shot. And basically they're like, yeah, they came together to win. But that's what you got to do. When you're a team, you got to work together. And they were basically using this to talk about themselves. Basically saying, hey, they're two people that came together, turned into a successful team, and they're looking good. And they were kind of making it sound like they were talking about themselves. Charlotte then just randomly, like, this kind of just like felt like they both lost their lines. And so Charlotte just goes, woo! You go. Go, Lexi. And like Alexa wouldn't woo. So then Kelly Kelly's just like, I'll do it. Woo! And Charlotte's like, see, she'll do it. And Alexa's like, yeah, I'm not doing that. And walks off. That was a very awkward end to a just okay segment. They then recap Roman Reigns returning to Raw last Monday night and saying that Roman will be on Raw this Monday from Dallas, Texas. And according to the American Airlines Center in Dallas, Texas, Roman will be kicking off Monday's show from Dallas. So Cody Rhodes talked with Randy Orton, who said that nobody should care what Paul Heyman has to say on what he said earlier. The two exchanged a fist bump and seemed like their allegiance was stronger than ever. Then we hit a lull in the show. Stephanie McCure and Tiffany Stratton come out for a contract signing before their big match for the Crown Jewel Women's title. And I'm like, cool, okay. And this just didn't hit. This didn't hit at all. Nick Aldis is out there. He introduces both women. They come down. Once both women were in the ring, McCure took the mic first. She said that she respects Tiffany and that even though she has only been world champion for 2 weeks, she said that she's proven herself to be the best. Quote, let the best woman win. Stratton answered, saying that she and McCure are the best women in WWE right now. And she is going to show her why she's number one when she beats Stephanie at Crown Jewel. Tiffany said that it didn't matter if they were in Cincinnati, Perth, or anywhere else, because it's always Tiffy time. Both women then signed the contract and shook hands, and there we go. So Stratton goes to leave. She's walking off in the aisle. She turns around and says something back at Stephanie like, I'll see you in Perth or something like that, and gets attacked from behind by Julia and Kiana James. Kiana then told Nick Aldis that, you know, this match doesn't matter because they're not the best. Julia's the best. And she just starts going on and just, meh, 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 meh. Eventually it sounded like the Peanuts. Womp, 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 womp. I'm just like, what are we doing here? What are we freaking doing here? They've made Julia a joke. They really have. I feel like they've made Julia into a joke, especially as a champion. A joke of a champion. And so they get in the ring and they're talking crap to Stephanie McCure before she says, Stephanie, I can take you to new heights. I can take you all the way to the top and make you the women's crown jewel champion. And I go, take her all the way to the top. She's already at the top. She's higher than your client. So Julia goes to strike Stephanie. Stephanie reverses it, tries to hit her with a SVB, and she gets out of it and runs off. Tiffany then jumps back into the ring, and the two stand tall. Tiffany and Stephanie. Cool. Do I care about this tag match next week? No. Am I excited for the match of Crown Jewel, though, with the two women? Yeah, because I think it can be a very fun, athletic match. I think these two, granted, Tiffany sometimes needs someone a little more experienced than her to guide her. But I think, you know, if they, and I hate saying this, work at it and practice it enough at the PC, probably come out with a pretty dang good match. We got earlier today's segment where Javon Evans comes out of Nick Aldis' office with him, where Nick Aldis is basically trying to get him to sign to SmackDown, where he's like, you know, we saw you in the Sami Zayn Open Challenge. You looked great. I'd love to see more of you here on SmackDown. And then Ray Phoenix comes up and goes, "Oh, Javon, hey, good job last week. You had a great match with Sammy." And then Los Garza comes up and is like, "Why are you talking to these two? We're better than these two. We're former AAA Tag Team Champions, and we've beaten them." And Nick Aldis was like, "Hey, you ain't wrong. So how about we do this? You two versus you two tonight." And so that sets up a tag match. Ray Phoenix and Javon Evans versus Los Garza. We then get a Jacob Fatu video, basically, where he's just like, "Yeah, I came out and dog walked all over Drew McIntyre last week. Drew wants to talk his shit. I'm not going to let him talk his shit. Yada mean." So they're still building up. We're eventually going to get Drew and Jacob. Esports Gaming Rules with a bit donation. He says, "Will Sol Ruka be a, quote, better belt collector in WWE than Monet if AEW if Sol wins the WWE Women's Tag Team Championships?" Well, that's the thing. I don't see Sol and Zarya winning the tag titles. And I don't see Sol getting more than 2 belts. I don't see them doing a belt collector gimmick. There's not enough belts. It's like, here's my one thing that I'm going to say with Mercedes Moné being a quote unquote belt collector. If you're going to do a belt collector gimmick, they have to be meaningful titles. And I'm not trying to throw shade on any of the companies that Moné is a champion of. But it's like, you look at all these belts and there's 3 of them we know. No, there's 2 that we know just by looking at them, what they are, because I'm not counting that Owen belt. And the rest, no one can name. You can even be told what the title is and still go, "I've never heard of that company." A Bestia belt? Bestia woman? What the fuck's a Bestia wrestling? Like, she's got 8 belts, 7 if you don't count the Owen. And it's like, they mean nothing. Her having all those belts mean nothing when they're, and I know I'm going to sound bad saying this, they're belts for companies that no one's ever heard of, unless you live locally where that company is. That's the issue. That's the big issue. Does she still have the Rev Pro belt? If so, then it is 3. I can't remember if she has that Rev Pro belt still or not. Corey with another generous super chat. Really do appreciate that. He says, "Meant to ask, do you think Jade and Nia should meet in a winner-take-all grudge match at Crown Jewel?" Winner-take-all for what? Winner-take-all would mean there's multiple things on the line. There's nothing for them to put on the line. So why would it be winner-take-all? Plus, like I said, don't see Jade being cleared by then. I don't see any possibility of Jade being cleared in the next week. So no, I don't see Nia and Jade at Crown Jewel having a match at all. He says, "Sorry for the confusion. My mind was going around in a million directions. Still apologize for the body shaming now." So yeah, no, like I said, Jade's not going to be cleared. Did you see the photos that Jade posted of that cut on her face? It wasn't just she got sliced and bled a bunch. She got cracked open and you could see her freaking brain, like legit see her brain. Anyone want to see a brain in a skull still, like in someone's head? Go see those pictures. They're on her Instagram. But moving forward, we did have Javon Evans and Ray Phoenix against Los Garza. Wait, did I? Nope, that's later. I was trying to say if I missed the Solo Sikoa video. That was later. As far as this match does go, Evans caught Berto with a high-flying crossbody to start things off. Berto responded with a knee to the face and then attacked Evans with punches and bunches. He followed this up with some hard kicks. In the corner, Evans attempted to fight out of trouble, but got hit with a drop kick by Berto. The high-flying Evans countered with a springboard Hurricane Rana on Berto. Los Garza, however, caught the young OG with a double-team kick to the face, followed by a punch. Phoenix then entered the match and took flight with a tornado dive and took out Angel before Berto took out Phoenix with a dive of his own. Now, is it Angel or Angel? Because Mark Nash said, "Make their way to the ring, representing Legado, El Fantasma, Angel, Berto, Los Garza. And I'm like, on hell. First off, you're white as white can be. Just say Angel. Because all commentary ever says was Angel. Angel and Berto. Not on hell. Barreto. Come on, guy. Anyways. Where was I? Berto took out Phoenix with a dive. This was then followed up by Evans soaring with a big time leap over the top rope to take everybody out as we go to a break. When we return, Angel was punching away at Phoenix in the corner until he escaped and caught him with a hard kick to the face. On the other side of the ring, Evans clotheslined Berto out of the ring. Things then broke down as Los Garza coordinated a unique double team move where Berto kicked Evans while Angel held up Phoenix. Despite that move, it still wasn't enough to win the match. Phoenix and Angel then took each other out over the top rope with a clothesline as Evans got the hot tag. Evans then hit Berto with an elevated cheeky Nando's kick before he dove onto Angel and the cameraman at ringside. Evans then entered the ring. Berto tried to catch him with a surprise, but he got him. Angel then entered, fell victim to a rebound springboard kick by Evans as Phoenix re-entered the match as well. Phoenix then lifted Berto up for the Mexican Muscle Buster, while Evans intercepted Angel with an OG cutter. Phoenix then pinned Berto and picked up the victory. Dude, Javon Evans is so good. Javon Evans is so good. I cannot wait to see more from him. He's been great in NXT. They've done, I can't say start and stop, but it's more of gets a push. We're not going to beat him. We're going to beat him. Gets a push. We're going to beat him. And I hate that stuff. And it's the Daniel Bryan effect where we beat him so much that it got him over as the top babyface. So now, whenever we have somebody like a Sami Zayn or a Javon Evans, we got to beat him and beat him and beat him and beat him before we can actually give him that big push. So it's unfortunate. But great match nonetheless. I thought these four worked fantastic together. So yesterday, WWE announced that Damian Priest would have a match, but didn't announce who the opponent would be. Then today, about maybe an hour or less before the show went on the air, they pulled that from their website. They pulled the Damian Priest match announcement. So actually all we got was Damian Priest in the back. He was interviewed about, his rivalry with Aleister Black. Kit Wilson then interrupted and talked some crap. Said more about his toxic masculinity. Priest then answered by pushing Wilson in his wheelchair far away and then stating next week in Perth, he wants to fight Black. But not in just any match. Last man standing. So it's official. Last man standing next week. Priest and Black. Should be good. Should be real good. We then got a new Solo Sikoa MFT video. He talked about how he's got the 7-foot giant from Japan, Tala Tonga, but there's still one thing missing. One last thing he needs to find to make his family tree a whole. So we teasing Tama Tonga coming back? Because if I'm going to be completely honest, Tama Tonga should be the leader of this group. If we've seen anything over the last, decade and a half, Tama Tonga is a great leader of a group. Tama Tonga should be the one leading this group, not goddamn Solo. But it ain't ever going to happen because Solo's their guy. They didn't make Tama. I mean, look at it. Tama was one of the founding members of Bullet Club. Then when Bullet Club kind of started getting too big for its britches, he then said, fuck you, the Elite, and took his Bullet Club and branched them back out to just Bullet Club and the Elite feud. And then he had, Tama Tonga needs to be the leader of this fucking group. Tama Tonga is a great leader of a group, as we've seen in New Japan. It's like Solo's fine, but I don't know. Still don't know when Tama Tonga's coming back, though, but I felt like this could have been a tease saying that he could be coming soon, because we're still missing one thing that I need to go find for my family tree. Didn't state that we're waiting for someone to come back or we have somebody that we can, make the tree whole again. He said he needs to go find somebody, which is an interesting use of words, I guess you would say. Street Profits backstage being interviewed. They got B-Fab with them, and they're just talking about how next week they're getting a shot at the tag titles. All of a sudden, the TV behind them starts glitching. Wyatt's appear on it. The Wyatt's interrupted and basically just talk trash. I don't even know what they really said. But next week, we got 4 things announced. Tiffany Stratton and Stephanie Vakir will be taking on the team of Julia and Kiana James. Sami Zayn will hold another Sami Zayn U.S. Open Challenge. The WWE Tag Team Championships will be on the line when the Wyatt Sixes, Dexter Lumis and Joe Gacy, defending against the Street Profits. And in a last man standing match, it's Damian Priest versus Aleister Black. As far as the main event does go, it's Cody Rhodes and Randy Orton versus Division. Let's first hear from our sponsor. Let's be real. Life moves fast and dinner shouldn't slow you down. That's where Factor comes in. Factor 75 delivers fresh, never frozen meals straight to your door so you can skip the grocery store, the prep, and the cleanup. Just heat and eat and get back to crushing your day. Whether you're keto, calorie conscious, or just want to eat clean without sacrificing flavor, Factor has chef-crafted options that actually taste like real food. Maybe you want pancakes for breakfast, chicken for lunch, and a steak for dinner. Factor has you covered. And here's the kicker. These meals are ready to go in just 2 minutes. That's less time it takes to scroll through your delivery app and regret your choices. So if you want to fuel your hustle without any hassle, then sign up for a Factor 75 subscription today. Use our code below, scan the QR code on the screen, or use our link in the description to get 50% off your order. Eat smart, live fully with Factor. And we're back. Cody Rhodes and Randy Orton versus The Vision. Main event of tonight's SmackDown. Match kicks off with Orton facing off against Breakker in the middle of the ring. Orton quickly pushed Breakker into the corner and opened up with a European uppercut, followed by a repeated punches and bunches to Breakker's face. Orton followed it up with a clothesline over the top rope as he went to a commercial break. Now, thinking of this match and Randy Orton working this match, if you didn't see Cody Rhodes on the Pat McAfee show yesterday, Pat goes, "Hey, Cody, you're gonna have a talk with Randy and ask him if he can do the majority of this match so you don't accidentally get hurt before Crown Jewel in that big match with Seth?" And Cody goes, you would think that. You would think that maybe I ask my partner to take the brunt of the match. But if it was he goes, but you do that if it's anybody else than Randy Orton. I laughed so hard because as soon as Pat asked the question, I said the same thing Cody said. I said, yeah, if it was anybody but Randy, Randy's either going to start and be in there very shortly or not start and not be in there for a very long time because they want to build to that Randy Orton hot tag because every crowd pops huge for the Randy Orton hot tag. So it's not to say that Randy doesn't like to work or Randy likes to take it easy. Yeah, probably after being here for 20 some odd years. But it's also, how a Randy Orton tag team match works. And you build and build and build to that Randy Orton hot tag. But then I say that Randy works so fucking much of this match. I was shocked. Come back, Orton in the grip of Bronson Reed. During the break, Orton was dropped across the announce table by Reed, which led us to this point in the match. Back to live action. Reed ran shoulder first into the steel steps after Orton dodged one last second. Rhodes then entered the match with the tag as he took out Reed with a disaster kick. Both Reed and Breakker were taken out of ringside. After a second commercial break, which I think was the final break of the match or the night, but still the Vision were in the driver's seat. Bronze kept Cody isolated in their corner. Rhodes managed to kick Breakker away in hopes of getting the tag, but Reed stomped. I wrote stamped. It's stomped out in all hope. The undisputed champion then avoided Reed's senton, which finally allowed Orton to get the hot tag that they were building to. Classic Randy Orton hot tag. He did the power slam to both Breakker and Reed. However, the big Australian responded with a jagged edge on Randy, his DVD. Reed then tried to head to the top, but Orton recovered and met him in the pass with a massive superplex. Breakker then managed to break up the pin at a 2. Rhodes and Breakker then fought as the hot shot flew from the apron and took Rhodes out diving with a clothesline through the barricade. In the ring, Orton had Reed scouted for an RKO, but Paul Heyman would cause a little bit of a distraction as Seth Rollins would run down and give Randy Orton a big-ass stomp. This then allowed Reed to pick up the victory with a tsunami. After the match, Rollins told Breakker and Reed to back off, while Rhodes was in the ring to check on Orton. Heyman advised Seth not to go not to go in for the kill, but to no. I wrote this weird. Heyman advised Rollins not to go in for the kill, but to no avail. Rollins tried to go for a stomp. Rhodes avoided it, caught him. Crossroads. There you go. Basically, Heyman was like, leave it be, leave it be. And Seth, the hothead, said, nope, I can get one on this guy. So there we go. Cody stands tall. Seth goes running, and away we go. He's checking on Orton again. So, good main event. Fine show. I wouldn't call it newsworthy or anything, to be completely honest. But it was a good, easy to watch episode of SmackDown. So you know what I thought of the show. Now it's time to hear what you guys thought of tonight's Friday Night SmackDown as we go check the polls. As far as all these polls do go, look at the Threads poll. 80% liked the show, 10% thought it was just all right, and 10% didn't like it. Looking at the Twitter X poll. 64% liked the show, 28% thought it was just all right, and 7% didn't like it. As far as the community poll does go, 75% liked the show, 17% thought it was just all right, and 8% didn't like it. As far as the live poll does go, 83% liked the show, 10% didn't like the show, and 7% thought it was just all right. And finally, everybody that voted on Twitch thought it was just all right. With that, guys, that is going to wrap everything up. I want to say thank you for joining us here. Twitch.tv/PW Unlimited, YouTube.com/Pro Wrestling Unlimited, and podcast services all around the globe like Stitcher, Spotify, Google Pod, Apple Pod, Anchor, iHeartRadio, and so much more. With that, we'll be back live on Monday for Monday Night Raw. Have a great weekend, and we'll see you next time. Have a good one, guys. All right, if you're still watching live on Twitch, we're going to hit up a raid really fast.